Hello, this is John Benson, and I'm going to review The Expanse, seasons 1, 2, and 3. The Expanse is a science fiction show set in the solar system, our solar system. There is the Earth as a planet government. That's one faction. There is Mars, the other major power, is its own planetary faction, and there are this other group known as the Belters, which is pretty much everybody else. People who live among the asteroid belt, who live on moons, every place other than the Earth or Mars. I started watching The Expanse because Adam Savage and Kyle Hill were talking about how good it is and that it is more accurate than most shows as far as the science of travel between the planets in the solar system, showing how vast the expanse is, and other issues, as in a recent episode I watched where people have been injured and there's only 0G, and there was some discussion about how difficult it is to treat wounds in 0G because you can't necessarily put a band-aid on it, you can't necessarily do surgery, you can't do a lot of things because of the bleeding. The bleeding is going, or just anywhere, it's not flowing in any way that's controllable because it's just going anywhere it wants in 0G. All of that is interesting. All of that is done well in the show. I'm not positive about how accurate any of it is, but it certainly seems accurate. And it comes across as more accurate than most shows. It does. It comes across. It's good. I feel good watching it. I think they do a good job in that. There are some places that they don't do as good of a job. The music is good. Like the opening song, great. They do the music that is done is definitely well produced. That's great. What I'm talking about the music is during the episodes, every dramatic moment has very dramatic music, and every person there's music going on, really lets you know exactly how you should feel at that moment. And I really don't like that. I don't need the music telling me how I should feel about a certain character every single time, and very strongly done. I just don't, overdone. Uh, the the acting levels are up and down. There's some wonderful acting by many of the different actors because there are a lot of people in the show, and there are many good actors. I really enjoy the woman who plays the head of Earth, or she becomes the head of Earth at a certain point. And she does a wonderful job throughout. Uh, there are other good actors. Maybe because I'm older, the older actors seem to do a better job. I think some of the younger actors, not so much. And it's not just the actors, and maybe it's not the actors' fault. It's also the writing. The writing is can be pretty flat at many times, predictable, whatever else you could say, typical for whatever show. And they certainly do many things, um, such as advancing the story by very few lines, or lines that just don't make sense, that people say. I've often seen in some scenes where I guess the script was rewritten at some point or something, because there's like this argument about allowing a bunch of refugees on a ship, and I'm not sure. It seems like both of them are arguing to let them on. I don't get it. At some point, uh, the captain's like, you can't let them in, and and then she turns around and says, uh, "Do you really want to go out there and look at their faces?" Seeming like to say you can't come in. I don't get it. It didn't work for me. And there are other moments too where the, the the response to what somebody said at one point just doesn't match up with what that person said. And I guess it's a script rewrite, or something, or they're doing something different with the story. They decided to go a different way, and in the edit, it just doesn't come together. Uh, and there are other issues with the writing, and it's not just the writing. It the the casting of many of the characters who are, particularly the characters who are supposed to be military characters, just don't look like military characters. And maybe the military is different in this time and place and going to space and stuff, and you know it just doesn't get there for me. They don't seem very military, and I think to a certain degree they wanted people who weren't necessarily all military. I think they wanted to show that these were real people. Okay, all right. But they have to train and they have to do exercises and they have to do other things, and a lot of them didn't really look like that. And then there's the captain, the head, the main character, goes by Jim. And if you're going to do a science fiction show and you're going to name the captain Jim, okay. But yeah, he apparently has been genetically modified to have no body hair somehow. It doesn't. It really. A lot of that didn't. I don't. Doesn't. I don't get it. They have the muscle guy who on the ship that we're following, where Jim is the captain, and he looks very G.I. Joe-ish, kind of overly muscled, but that's his role, and actually his acting is pretty good. I thought his acting was better than most of the others, but it's my own personal subjective point of view. This one thing that the show did well is this whole thing about point of view. It would show things from Earth's point of view and how the Earth is handling this political crisis, and you would think, oh, this way or that way, and then it would go to Mars and do it that way, show you from their point of view, and then it would also the Belters and show you their point of view. I liked that. That made sense to me, and it was consciously showing you, oh, well, people can be, on two different sides of this argument, and they can both be right given their own points of view. Or in this show, three different obvious points of view. But some of the acting is really overly dramatic, and writing overly dramatic, and simple. Especially these political crises that come up, and really, some of them were kind of overly done. And one particular spoiler is that in the third season there's this video comm that comes broadcast to all the ships showing Jim, the captain, threatening them, saying that they have to do all this stuff for the Belters, or he's going to blow up their ships or something, and the military immediately going and end up firing upon him, even though he just saved all of their lives in the past 2 seasons. He saved everybody's life, and like, oh yeah, let's kill him, and without even verifying the video that came in, even when in just the past season, in season 2, they had a similar issue, different person, but a video thing come in, and the commander of that ship was like, no, we need to verify this video first. We have no idea. It can be altered. It can be somebody making this up, which is true. And that's the way the military would have handled it. They wouldn't have been, oh, let's just kill him. And let's give him a minute warning and fire a missile on him, even though he wasn't firing any missiles. And another thing happens later in season 3 with the commander of one ship who wants to fire a laser into the ring. That's what he wants to do, and he is going to kill anybody who disagrees with that. It's a little over the top for a captain, but okay. And when this alternative solution comes in from Jim, he doesn't want to hear anything about it, even though it does. I don't understand why not. I don't understand why he wouldn't, or why he's going to shoot people who are not going to do that because, or want to do Jim's method first, because there's nothing saying that he couldn't shoot the laser later. I mean, the laser option would still be available, and what Jim wanted to do wouldn't necessarily take that away forever. I don't quite get it. There was many things like that that I didn't quite get in the show. Many times where I was kind of awkward and squeamish. Many times where I was like, okay, well, the level of the show is, it, it's not, here as a political trainer. It's meant for whatever teenagers or whatever it is going to watch the show. I suppose they're trying to broaden their audience as much as possible, but as far as political accuracy, not so much, and military accuracy, and I wouldn't highly rate it either. But the science accuracy as far as travel, the propulsion, the distances, and the difficulties of zero G, things like that. Yes, they did a fairly good job, well, at least as far as I can tell, and it seemed good, and I enjoyed watching those parts more than most parts. Um, that's this show's strength. It's a good show. It's worth watching. Enjoy. I didn't go into this the female Marine. There's another thing that was just difficult to watch. This Martian Marine who betrays Mars for good reason, and in season 2 gets reinstated into the Marines in season 3, only to be sent on a mission against the person, Jim, the captain guy, who saved her life before. I don't believe that she would. You think that she was going to fire? I don't believe that the Mars or any government, I don't know if they would reinstate her to begin with. It's really unbelievable. Really unbelievable that her mission then would go right back to go fight the guy who saved her life. It just, no. Totally unbelievable. And so I said, so those are the things that are unbelievable. Even though, crazier things, I guess, have happened. Certainly, this is 2020, definitely true. But as far as stories go, not a lot of issues like that weren't so believable. There are things in it that are done well, though, and are believable. They do an okay job at, and so I like the show. The show's good. It does have its moments that are difficult to suspend that disbelief, or I couldn't, but it's fine, and it's still an okay show. It's not as good as Star Trek, and that's another thing I was going to say too. As far as my complaints go, or whatever else, Star Trek had, especially the first classic, James T. Kirk had pretty much all those same issues and more. Some of the acting was truly horrible. Some of the writing was truly horrible, but it was still a fantastic show, and they made it all work, and it all worked fantastically. I, and I, I hope, I really like seeing another show like The Expanse come out and try to do, this sort of innovation, bring more accuracy in and make a good show about space. And it does that. And so I'm happy the show is there. And so watch it. I'd recommend it, and enjoy. All right, bye.